Coming up on this episode of Free Lunch. Wins or losses, either way, the people watching, hopefully someone's winning because they're learning from just watching me in the times I lost.
You can be here for years and have no experience in nothing.
How would something like that even, that's crazy. Hold on. It's your vision. It's times where you are by yourself alone, at home, in the dark, in the bathroom. I don't care where it is, in your car, crying to yourself because only you see this thing. Devil been a what?
An ancient pimp for over 2,000.
A pimp?
A pimp. Because he's been pimping a whole lot of folk.
What? One, as men, right, because we have that ego thing sometimes, even men who are the same age struggle with sharing with each other.
Yes.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Freestyle Gospel, a.k.a. The Real Free, with another episode of Free Lunch. And today, I have the pleasure of catching up with my brother. Oh, my God. Y'all don't know how much I've missed this dude, how much I love this brother. Every single day, he is on your Facebook page, setting it on fire with word from God, praying, interceding for folks he don't even know. People he ain't never even seen before. This man, my brother, Greg. What's going on, Greg?
How you doing? How you doing, my brother? How you doing today?
Yo, my man, Greg, is by far one of the most, I would say, insightful. You know how they say somebody incites a fight?
Yeah.
Of course, I don't mean fighting nobody.
Yes.
But insight, that word insight,
Yes.
it means to stir.
To stir up some things.
You be inciting some things.
Yes.
You be inciting some things. I can hear you in my headphones. Talking to your mic one more time, Greg.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? How you doing?
Yeah, man. I don't know. Maybe my headphones is just low. Turn mine up. So, Greg, talk to the people, man. Introduce yourself. Let them know who you are. What is it you do?
My name is Gregory Marble. I'm a restorative coordinator at NBFFA, New Beginners Charter School in Bridgeport. I'm also a freestyle minister for the gospel of Jesus Christ, a seeker of God, calling on his name.
Yeah.
You know, pushing towards that mark, as they say.
Yeah.
And walking in love.
That's facts.
Yes.
That's facts.
Yes.
Keep it brief. He said he gonna keep it brief with y'all. Freestyle minister. Yo, I love it. Most importantly, just how we connected. That's from the charter school in Bridgeport, where he's still at. That's how we crossed paths. And since I left the last school year. Since I've left, one of the things that have remained consistent with this brother is that he still incites. That word, like I mentioned before, he still incites, he still stirs up in both ways, like in a positive way for, stirring up people's, faith, praying and interceding, but also in that kind of a troublemaker way. When you a trouble for the enemy.
Yes.
You be starting some stuff, man.
You have to, man.
You
have to.
Devil be tight with you, bro.
Yeah, he definitely.
I know he be trying to take your head off.
Oh my goodness.
I know he tried to take your head off.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so I'm always, I see him doing this thing. Since we, or since I've left the school, I might not see him in person, in the intimate moments that we have shared and face to face. But definitely, he's continuing to hold that banner virtually, like many of us is doing, whether it's employment or otherwise. He's on the virtual radio, social media waves in that respect. So big ups to Greg, man. But I brought you in today because I'm gonna jump right into it. Is um, many times, you know, Greg used to give me um, rides to rides home at the end of the workday when we were at the school together, and many of those times, uh, God would use Greg or myself to encourage one another in our faith. And this recent, time in my life, those of you who've been following my story since October when I had the blood clot and the surgery and everything, and ultimately led to me having one of my top ribs removed. Um, Out of those three surgeries, or throughout those three surgeries, I was reminded of many of those conversations that we would have on the ride home from work. Excuse me. And it didn't just make me think of Greg in those conversations, but I felt like many of the times where we would have those talks or conversations, in our own respective lives, it was times that we were both also being tested or stretched to a new level in faith or being challenged in that way. And so for me, right now, I'm at like another crossroad, another juncture where it's like you could choose fear and stay where you at and where you've been, or you could choose faith, trust God just a little deeper, a little more than you did, so you can be elevated to this next place where He wants to take you. But it's gonna require that extra faith, just a little more. So it occurred to me, like times past, I know if I'm going through another faith plateau challenge, crossroad where, hey, it's now or never kind of thing. You could stay how it's been right here, or you could trust God again, a little more, a little deeper, a little further. So it made me call up my mans, and to the supportive, always willing to break bread man that he is. Like literally picked up the phone, called him right now, like as in 20 minutes ago. Could you come through the studio, yo? He's here. And just like I expected, he's like, yo, man, already started to share what God has been doing in his life. And I was like, you know what? I don't even want you to talk about it. Get into it, man. Wait till we get into the studio so we could bless the people of God, man, just with that testimony and allow other people to overcome by those same words. So, yo, that's been my test, man. This new level, before I even get deeper into, what that has been for me, that's a fact. That's been accurate for yourself in this season, right? You're at a place yourself where it's another plateau ready in front of you.
Because there's always another level. When you pushing and you're promoting the gospel of Jesus Christ, you're going to get attacked because that's another level that you got to go to. And you have to sit down and say, okay, I got to keep pushing. I can't stop right now because I'm right there. See, the enemy wants you to stop because he wants to minister to you and block your blessings. But when you're going through suffering, trials, and tribulations, that's letting you know that you got to keep going. Because Christ suffered. And if Christ suffered, we have to suffer as human beings. We may not like the suffering. We may not like going through, because it hurts when you go through now.
Nobody like that.
Nobody like it. And then when you're walking, it feels like you're walking alone. But you're not alone because Christ is always with you. And it feels like you're not protected, but you are protected. And a lot of times people don't see your visions because their vision is not your vision. So they can't see it. So when you tell people your vision, they don't understand it because they're not going that way you're going. So when God gives you something and he shows it to you, you got to go after it because it's for you. It's not for nobody else sometimes. It's for you.
But that's like, if I'm honest, has been historically like one of the most difficult things for me to wrap my head around is that part where, like you just said, it's just for you. So it's like, if you think about like any sport, right? When that athlete is like at the brink of either failing or success, right? Rising to the occasion or failing. When they're at that brink, that moment. In any sport you really think about, for the most part, what's typically the thing present, and I mean in a literal way, like present in the room or present at the location where the sport event is happening, what's typically present that kind of motivates that athlete to rise to the occasion rather than fail? What's usually present is, maybe the coaches, family, friends, fans, the chanting, the people around supporting, right? But when it comes to like that vision that God gives us in the secret place for us individually, right? To your point, the vision's not for everybody else. So they don't see what you see. The thing or the fight, the athletic, quote unquote, event that you're actually taking part of in a spiritual sense, there's no audience in a way to even be there to see it and many times cheer you on. It's not that people don't, love you, care about you. I'm not saying that, but because it's this thing called the vision for you, it's your vision. God gave it to you. They don't see what it is you see, so we don't get the benefit that the sports athletes may have of the chanting, pushing, maybe always people chanting, you on, telling you to go. You a boxer, knocked down on the mat. Nobody in the corner yelling, screaming, get up, come on, you can. It's your vision. It's times where you are by yourself, alone, at home, in the dark, in the bathroom. I don't care where it is, in your car, crying to yourself because only you see this thing. And it's that place where, again, just like the athlete, the crossroad is set before us. Either you're going to sink or rise to the occasion, but we don't got the crowd, Greg. We don't got the people chanting.
You're not going to have the crowd. I said the other day, there's no such thing in failing. There's no such thing as losing. We learn, right? And then when the attacks come, you always got to remember, it comes to block your blessings. And when you are right there, like that athlete, when that athlete has trained, and then that injury hits him, and then you got to go right back into rehab. Now that athlete can say, you know what, I'm tired of going through all this training, and I keep getting hurt. Then they quit. Like Kobe Bryant used to say, you got to go through the pain. Mm-hmm. You have to go through it. You have to go through the suffering. You have to be motivated in it. It's the same thing with God. Christ suffered, and we got to suffer likewise. So when that pain comes on, it's only to purify us and to make us better. You're not going to have the crowd around you, man, because a lot of the people want you to fail just as well as a lot of people want you to make it. You're not going to have the cheers, but you can feel the cheers from heaven. The angels are definitely cheering you on because they want you to be successful. They cheer, they going to God, and Jesus is the biggest cheerleader you ever going to have. And a lot of people don't get it. Jesus is the best and the greatest cheerleader that you ever have. You got to feel that inner, something inside you saying, you got to keep going. Because it's not about you. You're not only doing it for you, but you're doing for all those that are looking at you.
Wow. That part.
Yeah, that part right there. Because
all those who are looking at you.
Those that are looking at
whether
you.
they're haters or cheerleaders.
But they're
both looking.
They're looking. Because you have a lot of people that want to be you. And they waiting to see either success or failure for they can pick. So you're not doing it just for you. Like, you have, like, when I first got married, my barber told me, when I get married, I want to get married and be like this guy. I wasn't even paying him no mind.
He was talking about you?
Yeah, because he's been watching me for years.
Yeah.
On how to be married and not cheat.
Okay.
Staying focused on the prize, but I made a promise to God to honor that. So now in my marriage, we all have ups and downs, but when you make a promise to God about something, you got to follow suit in it. And that's when the crossroads come.
Yeah.
The attacks come and everything else because you made a promise. Just as well as God hear you, the adversary hears you too. But there's no such thing in quitting.
But do you think the fact that, like you said, other people are watching, I think for me at least, I don't know what it's been for you, because as there's something that, just being very practical, and that's what I like to do a lot of times when I'm talking to whether it's people, young people in my youth group or young adults and the college students that I work with, is trying to take like things that are like spiritual or things that we know are in like the Word of God or in the Bible or something, right? And making them, translating it to like a practical thing, right? So, for instance, like how you said, right? You're not gonna have cheerleaders, but Jesus is your biggest cheerleader. There's angels in it. Like that. That sounds great, right? But when you're in that hellish moment or place or point in your life, like in a literal sense, like in that moment, you don't literally hear angels cheering you on, right? Right. So in a practical sense, what's worked for me, and like I said, I want you to share what's works for you when you're at that pivotal moment where it's either failure or success, right? For me, it's been the thing that's kind of helped push me as part of what you shared is when I remember other people are watching me. Now, whether those people are haters or not, that really doesn't factor in for me. Like I don't think I care. But the fact that I know someone else is watching, for me, it makes me press towards the mark a little harder and a little more, because a big part of the mission I feel God has for me is to inspire or encourage someone else with my life, whether good or bad, with the bad in my life and with the good in my life. I hope someone's inspired. So when I remember that in that moment, whether it's my kids, many times it's my kids,
Yes,
that I'm thinking they're watching me. So whether it was, when I was trying to push, through working and trying to, finish my degree, right? I have a kid who's about to finish high school and go to college. They're going to be swamped with this, essays and papers and all. They're watching me. How can I be that example for them? This is hard for me. I'm pressing in. They're watching. What's the thing, the literal thing for you when you're at that pivotal moment? You're going to fail or you're going to push towards the mark and succeed. Fear or trust God? What's the thing that gets you over the hump?
I'm gonna tell you, man. It sounds simple, but it's hard. When I know I'm at that point too, it seems like everything's crashing down. I got to go downstairs in my basement, man, and I got to get in front of God. And then I realize all this stuff that we going through, right? Because it gets heavy. Like I said this morning, I just got hit with a bomb yesterday that was supposed to throw me off track, because the last 9 days it's been beautiful. And I said, and I looked and I thought about it. I said, hold up. I'm in this fight, but this is not my fight. I'm in it, but it's not mine. So I looked up, I says, the devil has been an ancient pimp for over 2,000 years.
The devil been a what?
An ancient pimp for over 2,000
years. A pimp?
A pimp. Because he's been pimping a whole lot of folk.
What?
Check it out.
Oh, okay.
The thing that people must realize, you can't get in the ring and fight with him.
Uh-huh.
Your power is on the outside of the ring.
Okay.
Your power is in God. So I said to the Lord this morning, God, hold up. This is not my fight. This is not my, here, you take this.
Mm-hmm.
My job is to praise and worship and pull the word out. But any attacks that come against me, that's yours. So if I'm doing my job, then God got to do his job, right?
Ooh.
But you got to think about that. Because if you look at the book of Job, right?
Yeah.
Me and you used to talk about that a while, right? Now.
Oh, y'all better be careful now. You
The
get into Job.
Listen to this.
Anytime you get into Job, you better be careful now.
Come on now. The adversary had to go up to God and ask God for permission to mess with Job, right?
Okay.
He couldn't just attack Job. And even though the adversary had a different idea, he wanted to really kill Job because Job was too blessed for him.
Mm-hmm.
God said, you can do anything you want to him, but you can't kill him.
Mm-hmm.
But the adversary says he will curse you to your face and die. See, that's what the adversary was trying to pull. If I put all this pressure on him, he's going to curse God to his face and just die. And that's that trial that we go through, that pressure, right?
So if you could put that in one, like a one-liner for me, the the strategy you're implementing or using to get you over the hump, right, is what?
I'm not going to lose. I don't care what I'm going through. I'm not going to lose.
Your strategy for not losing is, like you said, I'm going into the basement. I go into my prayer space and reminding myself I'm giving it to God.
I'm giving it to God.
It's not my fight.
It's not my fight.
So you have to, you're using that, I would say that the strategy of reminding yourself of the reality.
Of the reality. It's not your fight.
What I'm physically experiencing, the false thing, in a sense, is this feeling through my five senses, when I'm physically going through. It feels like it's definitely my fight.
Yes.
That's what it feels like.
It feels like that.
This bill that's on the table that got to get paid.
It's your fight.
That bill don't that light bill don't say Jesus Christ's name on it.
So don't.
It say Christopher Elliott.
Yeah.
It say Greg Marble.
Yeah.
Okay. So from what I see, what I feel, what I smell through my five senses, it looked like it's my fight.
Yeah.
You're reminding yourself in those moments, forget what my eyes are seeing. Forget what my body's even feeling.
Yeah.
This is not my fight.
It's not my fight. If you look at this thing in a bird's eye view, because birds are high, they look and see things low. They see everything. Right?
Like the Lord that sits high and looks low.
God sees it all.
Come on, somebody.
He sees it all, bro. And the thing is, God wants you to lean on him and stay of good courage. If we say, okay, the light bill, the gas bill, this bill, and all this stuff come at us, right? But hold up now. Let's wait a minute. Let's pump the brakes here.
Yeah.
My Father gates are pearls, and the ground that he walks on is gold. And I'm seeking his face, and I'm calling on his name. See, I'm seeking his face, not his hands.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeking the face of God.
Yeah.
My praise is different when I seek his face than when I seek his hands.
Yeah.
When I seek his hands, I'm asking for something. I'm seeking his face. I'm seeking the kingdom of God first. And what do they say? All those things will be added on to me.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm taking care of God's business, that's seeking God's face, God has to take care of my business. Because he says it in his word. My word cannot return back to me void. It must be pleased where I sent it.
Mm-hmm.
So if we, like I said, a lot of people get caught up in prayer and then they get up. God hears your prayer, but God answers your cry.
Mm-hmm.
When you crying out to the Lord and you're a good servant, serving with servitude, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Because he's going to, even though Job went through what he went through, God still blessed him abundantly.
Yeah.
And the curse that the adversary was trying to throw on Job, it was Job's wife that said, curse God and die. Think about that.
But you know what's crazy? I think it's like twice at least I've heard you mention, if in but so many, ways or words you've expressed that this like idea, like, if you're a good servant, if you, trust God, right? Like God, has to do these certain things, right?
Yeah.
But I think what's like really, really amazing and what really is almost like a compulsory for me, at least, has been the times where, that scripture comes to my mind, that, God is faithful even when we're unfaithful.
And when we're unfaithful.
So it's like, even when I'm not being the good servant or this person trusting of God, and I'm letting fear grip me, from time to time. I've seen like God's hand still be faithful, and for me, what that's done, it's done two things primarily. Probably some others too, but primarily it's done two things, and one has been, it instantly convicts me. One, right? Like, so I kind of feel bad, but it's not like the, condemnation bad. Like I'm just convicted that, even though I didn't hold up my end of the bargain, God, you still showed up. So I'm convicted, right?
Yeah.
And then two, it lit some kind of like flame on the inside of me for the next time, for the next test, to dare to be that much more courageous and trusting of God. Because I have to reflect, like I said before a minute ago when you were sharing, like, right, one of your strategies is that, like, you remember, right? You remind yourself of God's word, and that gets you over the hump. For me, another strategy that has worked wonders in that pivotal moment, that crossroad to get over that hump, is remembering all the times God has never failed.
Never.
Like it makes you look back on your doubt, or not look back, I'm sorry. It makes you look at your present or current doubt, whatever you might be questioning or worried about. It makes you look at yourself in the mirror and be like, you so silly. What? You know daggone well he 100 for 100. His record is perfect.
Impeccable.
You're currently being a fool to doubt him this time, because every single other time behind you, he showed up.
But you think about what he says, though, in this word, and a lot of people don't have patience. He says, I may not come when you want me to come, but I'm always on time. God is not in time, man is. So man goes crazy with waiting on God. He says, where yet?
The wait is crazy.
The wait is crazy, but it's worth it, man, because when it comes, it just seems like he takes the storm away. And that storm, like, that storm could be rough, man. It's like being outside in the rain without an umbrella. And it's raining unconditionally. You don't have no umbrella to protect you against the rain. That's how them storms feel sometimes. But God protects his own. He's going to protect us because the spiritual umbrella is always over us. Like you said earlier, the conversation, faith and fear. We have to walk in faith regardless of what the circumstances look like on the outside, because we are dealing spiritually, not fleshly. The flesh will try to tell us something else, but the spirit man will rise up. And that's the way we need to go. We got to listen to the spirit man. We always got to, the flesh will say, oh, man, no. Like, I just came back off vacation and got hit with a big-time tax bill. Boom, right in my face.
You always get hit with some bill, Greg.
You know what I'm saying?
You always get hit with something.
I had one or two choices. Look at it or pay it.
I feel like I've heard this testimony already with just a different bill and a different setting.
But I knew what it was, man. It's supposed to come and dampen the happiness that took place.
Mm-hmm.
Pay the bill. God got that because God has taught me how to pay forward.
Yeah.
So that little change, you try to think you're trying to interrupt.
Yeah.
The sad thing for you is that you got to get that back the way God wants you to give it back to me.
Yeah.
So regardless of what I got to do, you still got to return that because I'm a faithful servant of God, not man.
Yeah.
A lot of people get caught up on that. Well, I serve in my church. No, I go to a church where I'm a member of the church, but I serve God. So it's a big difference. You belong to the church. No, you can't say you belong to a building. No, I'm a member of the kingdom. So you cannot take from me.
Yeah.
What did Jesus say? You can't take my life, I give it.
Yeah.
So you might do a little interruption in the plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you the one got to write that check to give all that back. That's why I said serving God, man, is such a beautiful thing because the reward is great. A lot of us got to start making room for our reward. We get caught up on the stuff that's around us. But God is bigger than anything that we can ever go through.
It's the waiting period, man.
Yeah, man, you know
that's
what?
That's where weariness happens at. It's the waiting. I think at the start of, like, any well, I won't broad stroke that statement and say any. But I think at the beginning of many challenges, when it comes to our faith, man, is, is characterized by us being encouraged. We're like motivated. It's kind of like, again, like that athlete or boxer, right? At the start of the match, you fresh from the locker room, right out the gate. You come out that corner, the first round, man, you looking real good. You know what I'm saying? You limber, you know what I mean? You're not fatigued yet. None of that. You feeling really, optimistic. But 6 rounds in, 7 rounds in, what's happening to that optimism?
Start wearing down.
You know what I mean? And then now you have to rely on, something deeper than what you're physically experiencing. What you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to now win this fight, not because I feel how I felt in round 1. I'm not going to win this fight because I feel strong and I feel capable. Now, I'm going to win this fight based upon something that, like you said, with the bird's eye view, based on something that rises so much further above this match right here in front of me, what I'm experiencing. Something that sits so high above what I'm dealing with, that's going to be why I win. And just like God and him wanting to get all the glory, right, from every scenario,
every situation,
that's the perfect opportunity for him. He doesn't want it's almost like, what's the fun for him, or what's the benefit and pleasure and glory for him to show up in a space where you feel capable, right? Because then now there's confusion about who should get the glory.
That's right.
Like if you felt great and confident about every single battle, not one battle ever put you to like a real test. Like if Greg was gonna go box a 3-year-old, right? Greg
that's
doesn't
an automatic win.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, exactly. So when Greg wins that fight, the fight that's not really a challenge at all,
yep,
Greg could be misled to think it was because he was powerful. I won that fight, of course, because I'm stronger. I'm the bigger, better person. But then when you are in that battle where, oh snap, I'm getting my behind handed to me. The only way I'm going to come out of this and win this is if something much greater, more powerful, mightier than me pulls me through this.
Think about what he said, though, Chris. He says it in his word. He says, this race don't belong to the swift or the strong.
Talk about it, Greg.
It belongs to those that can endure it to the end.
Talk about it, Greg.
So when we in this storm, we got to endure.
Spoon feed him, Greg.
We got to endure this to the end, knowing that God got us.
Take your time, Greg.
I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go through knowing that God is there because he is my refuge. He is my God and light, and that's in Psalms 23. Knowing that the enemy is coming at me to try to block me from being blessed. But then I have to look at God's word. He says, I prepared this table before you in the presence of thy enemies, and I'm going to anoint your head with oil. Then he's going to tell you about goodness and mercy. When you walking with goodness and mercy, you can endure anything because God's going to make sure you can endure it. But when you, like when you said, when you come out, all the praise goes to God, but he allows you to have the victory.
Yeah.
That's deep right there.
Yeah.
All the praise goes to him, but he allows you to have the victory. Now, when people look at you, I thought he was done. What? And then when you tell them that it's God, they think it's something else because they don't believe in the power therein.
Yeah.
Struggling is good.
But again, back to that point where we said we're the people watching, I think for many times that's why I believe, for me, God allows some of the circumstances to look so crazy.
Yeah.
Because not only does God want me through the situation to realize the power of his hand and his ability, right? But he also wants everyone watching your circumstance to gaze upon you, right? What does the scripture say? They will see man's great work and glorify the Father.
That's right.
And that's so awesome to me because, again, it's saying they. It doesn't say Greg will see man's great work and glorify the Father. They will see man's great work. God is going for the collective win. He's going for like the collective glory.
That's right.
It'd be great for Greg to get through this, me to get Greg through this, and Greg to give me the glory. But it'll be even greater for Greg to get through this, and Greg's kids, Greg's wife, Greg's coworkers, all the people who saw Greg going through this, for all of them to give me the glory.
Think about what you just said. Oh my God!
Wow,
that's deep right there. That is deep because, like I said earlier, there's people watching you, and this reminds me of a little passage in the Bible, Ezekiel. Think about this. God got all the glory in the work that Ezekiel did. When he spoke to Ezekiel, he said to Ezekiel, I need you to speak to the people of Israel. But we all know was defiant, right? Mm-hmm. But look at this. We talked about pain early in this conversation. We talked about trials. By nightfall, your wife would be dead. Mm. But you still got to go deliver this message. Now, you can't even put on clothes of a mourner. You can't eat the food of a mourner. And you cannot mourn. That's pain. That's suffering, and that's going through. Yeah. But he had to persevere because God had him on assignment. Imagine God talking to me and you like that, and that's our wives, the light of our eyes. Mm-hmm. But you got to go through for this blessing. Mm-hmm. Because this blessing is greater than what you lost. We're not going to understand that in the flesh because we're connected to the other side, and that's our spouse.
The blessing is greater than what you lost.
What you lost. The blessing is greater than what you lost.
We got to meditate on that for a minute. The blessing God got for you is greater than what you losing right now.
What you losing right now.
Somebody need to hear that part.
It is.
Because what you losing right now, just what I've lost right now, and what I feel like I'm present day still losing while I navigate, this potential issue with my health and being out of work. That mess feels scary. It feels like I'm losing a lot, Greg.
Yeah, it does feel scary.
But believing that the blessing ahead of me that I have yet to see manifest, the idea that will be greater than anything I'm losing today. Like how we said, just like, when we brought up the story of Job, like all of what he lost, bro. Not just like physical, material stuff. He lost people, flesh and blood,
family members.
Like you can't put a price on human being people, what family means to people. But he was blessed in return so far. You know what I mean? Like in that moment when you're in that stuff, man, because I think we've attached so much meaning to a lot of what we're blessed with day to day, whether that's your paycheck from your job. We've attached so much meaning to those things. Now, don't get me wrong. Those things have, logical utility. Like there's a point, a very effective point to me having that paycheck. So it's not like we're unreasonably attaching significant meaning to a paycheck, right? That's not unreasonable. Anybody on the planet will say, because your paycheck is what's going to pay for this and keep that roof over you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But when I say we attach unreasonable meaning to certain things that we have every day, the house, the check, whatever it is, money, right, is because ultimately, the thing all those things have in common, from the most necessity thing that we could say, like a house. Somebody will say a house is a necessity. That's not a want. That's a need.
That's a need.
Okay? But from the greatest need, like a home,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to like the most frivolous want, let's say a pair of sunglasses.
Yeah.
What both of those have in common
Mm-hmm.
is that they are not inherently infinite. They're all finite.
That's I like that.
And it's only when we attach the real meaning to something infinite, like God, where we can step into those spaces of temptation, trial, tribulation, whatever it is, and have some measure of peace. Is because, yes, I need a home a roof over my head. Yes, I need clothes on my back. No, maybe I don't need the glasses. No, maybe I don't need to go out and, eat out every, weekend at the restaurant.
Yeah.
I can cut out though. But I need a house. I need clothes. You need all of that. But if even those things that are understandable needs rise to the degree of importance to where they become now on par and level with God in our life, we in trouble.
Big time, man.
We in trouble.
And a lot of people,
Which is why it reminds me, not to cut you off, it reminds me of that passage where Jesus is saying, right? Man should not live on bread alone. Who's going to argue, Greg? Who's going to argue that bread is a necessity? Nobody. Everybody's going to say, I need food to feed my body.
That's right.
I'll die. But to have bread be on par and on level with our trust in God.
But he says, I will supply all your needs according to my riches and glory through Christ Jesus.
Man, why you trying to hit him over the head with the old school scriptures, man?
Because I'm going to stand,
they're going to be like, man, this all sound cliche, man.
But you think about all the suffering and the pain. A lot of people don't understand the stuff me and you've been through, right? They don't understand how we got in that car for a year straight and just went through. Every day.
Or why I was even in your car.
That's right, because we needed
walking
to
in the
be
snow, taking the train, and
I said,
two buses to get to work.
I'm right here. I dropped you off, which was a blessing for me because we was able to go through together.
Yeah, yeah.
See, your pain wasn't my pain, and my pain wasn't your pain, but we had pain.
Yeah.
And the only way that God seemed like He was going to heal it, let me put these two brothers together, for they can celebrate my name as they go through their pain.
Mm.
And we was literally in tears when you got out your car and I went about my business. But it was our praise that moved God.
Yeah.
Even though some days it was worse than the day before.
Yo, it was some of them days, man.
It was some tough days. And then we had to get it up and do it all over again.
Yeah.
Not knowing what we was going to face. But when we got in that car and got before God.
Yeah.
For that moment, we knew sooner or later that everything was going to work out.
You know, one thing that I've always remembered and reflected on that was so, deep and really powerful, just dope, man, about those moments in those car rides is here you have two different men of a different generation, right?
Yeah.
What generation are you a part of? What's your generation called? I know I'm a millennial. So what's the generation before that?
You tell me. I'm 62.
I don't know. Are you a baby? Are you a baby boomer? Are you considered a? I don't know.
Oh no, I'm 62 years old.
But we're two entire different generations, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And you have one thing I've appreciated in those car rides was I'm this younger man. Here's this older man. We both are, believers. We're doing our best to trust God, follow God. Obviously, because of our, vast age difference, we have different, things from day to day that we're faced with, whatever. But what was really like a humbling and both like sobering experience is to see an older man, for me, be vulnerable in the face of a younger man. Like, I never felt like it was this ego thing. Like because you're older and I'm younger, you know, one, you know, I'm not gonna either talk to this young man or I'm not gonna share stuff with him that's going, you know what I mean? Like, and I always felt like, you know, whether I was coming to you to, you know, hear whatever it is God was sharing with you, or you were, you know, sometimes, listen, y'all, Greg would get in that car, man, or I would jump in the car after Greg had the car, you know, running and waiting for me to come out of work and come out the building. I jump in the car, and some of those days, like Greg just mentioned, where he had a rough day or it's been a rough week for him, whether at school or at home, I get in the car and Greg will hit me with straight out and be like, "Hey, Chris, man, yo, I need you to, you know, start praying, bro. I need you to send a prayer up for your boy, man."
Yeah.
And like I said, experiencing someone older than me, my senior, recognize even the God in me that could somehow impart or encourage him in some way. That was like a really, really dope experience for me, man. Like, and I like big up to you, because I don't think I think one, as men, right? Because we have that ego thing sometimes, even men who are the same age struggle with sharing with each other.
Yes.
Right. And because of that, I think the enemy uses that thing, whether it's pride or ego, to stop men from being able to build and encourage each other. And that phenomenon, I think, is even more prevalent and common when it comes to two men who are separated by a bunch of years. Because then the older man is always looking at the younger man like, you don't know nothing, or let me school you, or whatever, or you can't teach me nothing or tell me nothing, or, you know, encourage me no way or whatever. So then now that stops two men from, you know, building or whatever, encouraging each other. But that was really, really dope, man. I don't know if that's something that like you've always have done, or if God like brought you to that place. But I know I've met very few brothers that have been able to just be humble like that and vulnerable.
I had to 3 years ago, I was driving a young man in New York. He owns a clothing store in Fairhaven. And he said to me one day, he says, "Greg, those scriptures that you put on Facebook is good, right? But," he says, "a lot of people don't know how to read." I'm like, you know, being an older statesman, I'm like, what is he talking about? And us working in the school system and me being an ex-prison guard dealing with youth, I should have known that.
Yeah.
But for that moment, I didn't. But he says, they know how to hear. So you should go to Facebook Live because you have a word from the Lord. And here's a fella like you. I got years on him.
Yeah.
And I started the program. A lot of people watch, call this In the Praise. And I said, well, I do it for 3 days.
Yep.
So if it don't work, no foul, no good.
Yeah.
But I always had the connection with the young through basketball training. You know, I'm doing a program now in Bridgeport that we do for free every Saturday, training the young.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like some of these young fellas like you got a lot of wisdom that you can speak into my life.
Yeah.
And constructive criticism is always great. I mean, just because I'm older, 25, 30 years older than some people, that doesn't mean I can't take constructive criticism, especially when that person is being used by God.
What do you think that is that that I guess prevents, whether it's old, and this is probably not just with men, I'm sure maybe females experience this too. What do you think that is? Do you think it's because of the just purely like the age difference that people recognize or realize, and they think, you know, I can't receive, or I can't be humble, or not just even humility. Sometimes I can't be vulnerable in front of this person because they're younger than me. Do you think, you know, like what is it you think that is primarily that causes people to be stuck in that?
We dealing with a young nation that don't.
Is it pride, or
we dealing with a young nation that don't want to hear nothing?
No, I mean for people, the people who are the older.
Oh, right? That's speaking into the somebody's young life.
No, what prevents those older people, unlike yourself, who can receive from someone younger than them? Like what stops those older people,
you said
male
it, man,
or female?
Pride. You ain't been through nothing I done been through. How you gonna come and try to tell me something? You know what I mean? Instead of just picking up those points, okay, what are they saying? If it's not for you, Take what's for you, and the
Yeah,
rest
yeah.
of it, just put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
We feel because we been here, that's experience
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
Just because you've been here doesn't mean nothing. You can be here for years and have no experience in nothing.
Ooh. You got to repeat that again. You could what?
What I say, you can be here for years and have no experience in nothing.
How would something like that even? That's crazy. Hold on. Time. He said you could be somewhere for years, y'all, and still not have experience? What? Hold on. It almost sounds like an oxymoron. Like it almost like sounds like it's a contradiction. How can you be somewhere for a year? Oh.
Yeah, you give him the answer.
Yo. But you know, because what I think is you have people who simply occupy a space.
Come on, talk to me.
So you could have tenure. You could have numerical numbers of years working somewhere, let's say, at a job.
At a job.
But that 10 years, let's say, of you working there doesn't necessarily equate to 10 years of experience in the job if the whole 10 years you was there, you just simply was an occupant. You just was sitting there taking up empty space.
You was just there.
You was just there, a body.
You did enough to get by.
But somebody to be in this space and actually garner experience while there, you had to have your hands in the game. You had to be doing some things, experiencing some things, some wins and losses. Wow.
The experience is the best teacher.
Wow. Some people that's a word for y'all. Look, free lunch is always about, at the end of the day, free food for your soul. That's my tagline.
Okay, I like
right?
that.
So we want to have things that are edifying for people, like lunch feeds the body.
Yeah.
What could be edifying for the soul? That right there, that's a takeaway, y'all. Y'all need to run away with this right now. Take this is don't let time somewhere get confused with experience. And I think that'll be humbling and both edifying for both people in either situation, whether you're the old or you're the younger person. For the older person, it's a reminder for you to the spaces where God has blessed you to maybe occupy, the industries where you exist now, whether it be for years or maybe not industries, maybe the relationships you've been in for years. Mm-hmm. I've been a father for 20 something years. People who boast about I've raised or I got 10 kids. I know everything about parenting. Well, no, you might just have actually just occupied the space of parent. That don't mean you got 20 years of experience in parenting.
That's right.
For the young, it's a warning, or it should be a reminder for you to keep in context that as you navigate new life in new roles or industries, workplaces, to be committed to every space and opportunity, every relationship role that I enter into. Let me not just simply be an occupant here. Let me be someone who participates. Whether win or lose, I'll win some, I'll lose some. Either way, it'll all equate to experience as long as I'm in the game. But as long as I'm simply just occupying a seat.
But think about this, right? The great Michael Jordan said it. I'm not a Michael Jordan fan.
I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan.
Every time he lost a game, he says, I didn't lose. I learned. So he was getting experiences in everything. The losses. The losses made him great. Because now, let me go to my film work and see where I made the mistake.
Yeah.
And a lot of us need to go to our spiritual film work to see where we failing at. That we can go back and get that right with God.
For some people, Greg, watching that film on replay, though, is painful.
Tough. It's painful.
It's painful, though. It start bringing back, like, you know how you have, like, post-traumatic stress start happening. You know what I mean? Like, to like, delve back and peel back the layers for many people, it's traumatic, yo.
But to order to pull back the layers, it also brings you new healing. like I tell a lot of people in my message, we need to stop listening to the devil's vocabulary.
You trying to have a whole nother episode,
Bro,
man.
listen here, bro.
Man.
I can come
We
back.
gotta speed. We gotta spoon feed the people, man.
Yeah,
We can't pack it all in one episode.
Listen, man. If we get focused on what we need to do for us,
Yeah.
we can make a difference in the world. It's about our assignment. Staying focused. If you take a 21-year-old man, if he ain't learned nothing by the time he's 50, then he don't have no experiences in life.
Yeah.
He's still 21, even though he's 50. No experiences. So he gets upset when somebody your age tried to speak into his life, knowing that he just lost.
Yeah.
Now, that's where the loss come in. 29 years of life by not being experienced in it.
And that's what's even like, sobering or encouraging of an idea with just being at peace with the wins or losses, as long as it all equates to experience, is because just the word experience in and of itself is not it's not a term to be quantified. Like, experience is just that. It's not negative or positive.
No, it's not.
It's a neutral term.
It's learning.
It's experience, literally. So whether I could say I experienced a basketball game, that sentence in and of itself doesn't suggest or imply that you won or you lost.
No,
but you experienced it, and so win or lose, I took something from that encounter because I had an active hand in the game. If I could boast about being in the NBA, but for 10 years in the NBA, if all I did was ride the bench for 10 years and never stepped in the game, I can't say, yo, man, I got 10 years NBA experience. Yo, you better respect me. How? What did you can't learn unless you participated in the game.
You had 10 years of sitting.
You could, here's the good news for the person having anxiety of whether I win or lose. Oh my God. Because guess what? If that same player lost for 10 years and play, you know who comes to mind? Patrick Ewing, Knicks.
Yeah.
He don't got one ring, do he?
He don't have no rings.
But he got experience.
He has experience.
Because that man, blood, sweat, and tears, he played the game. He had a hand in it.
Came close to it.
He was in there, and somebody like that, you walk away, yo, I got nothing but honor and respect for somebody like that, because you could actually say, I got this plus amount of years NBA experience.
Somebody that can talk to you.
Whether I got rings or not.
Yeah.
Win or lose, that's irrelevant. The experience is what we want to garner to get us to the next place. And even if it's not for us, guess what? Again, another beauty that's kind of like secretly interwoven into the equation is, guess what? The way God orchestrated for not just you, but for everybody watching, even if you didn't learn from your experience, many of the people who were watching learned.
So true. So true.
So it's like, listen, hopefully you live some measure of your life transparent enough where people are bearing witness to what challenges, trial, tribulation, what blessings God is doing in your life. Excuse me, because someone's watching. The wins or losses, either way, it should equate to experience for you. Wins or losses, either way, the people watching, hopefully someone's winning because they're learning from just watching me in the times I lost.
But think about this. People are also examining you and watching you, how you deal with the loss and how you recover from it.
Oh, yeah, facts. Because at some point, ultimately, they're going to have a loss.
Yeah.
And then how do I, like Greg says he's a man of God, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when he gets bad news or gets,
How did he recover from it?
That out of nowhere bill in the mail.
Yeah,
What's his
man,
response?
listen.
What's it? So
Yeah.
and for the most part, I have those kind of like contemplations when it's like my kids are right there. Like I remember working at the school in Bridgeport with you one day, coming home from work, and my daughter meeting me at the front door, running to the door to tell me, "Daddy, the lights are out."
I remember that.
And so I went to go confirm what my young daughter is just saying. So I go and I remember hitting the switch, and sure enough, we had the shut off notice. Sure enough, just like she said, the lights were out. And in that moment, that was such a vulnerable space for me as her father, her provider.
Yes.
The one that's supposed to make sure that she got what she need, right? But thankfully, I had the wherewithal and the presence of mind to know, yo, Chris, your daughter's watching you and your response right now in this moment. What is it you're going to teach her subconsciously? What are you going to teach her based on your response to this? And I remember just like, and all this stuff, all this calculating and thinking is happening like in split seconds, right? I remember her running. She's telling me the lights is off. I go turn to the light switch, click the switch. Sure enough, light doesn't come on. I turn back to her and I smile and I go, "Hey, you right, baby. Daddy gotta go call the light company, man. We gotta get these lights back on."
That's right.
And did all of my best to sound lighthearted, sound like, "Hey, no big deal. It's gonna be all right. We got the lights back on." Now, does that mean as a father, as an adult, a grown-up, for any of my young listeners out there listening, we have at least 10% of our audience is under 18 on this show. Does that mean because we're, with the adults or parents, or because, we say even that we trust God, right? Does that mean outside of the view or earshot of my daughter, I didn't have moments where I go into my bedroom, shut the door, and I shed a tear or I break down and cry just as a man because I feel that vulnerable and that broken, like in that moment, like, dang, like, yo, my kid like had to experience some of the stuff I experienced as a kid that I wanted to hope to grow up to never let my kids ever experience. But here we are. Dang, that hurts. But I know, like you said, Greg, people are watching to see how are we responding? How are we going to deal? How are we coping? And it doesn't mean, again, to work in our own strength and be driven with anxiety or beat ourselves up if, your daughter or your son or your child saw you cry. That's not what I'm getting at. I hope nobody listening gets that mixed up or misconstrued. I'm simply saying use those moments. Use those moments as an opportunity to hopefully, if you remember this message today that you're hearing, the next time you have one of those moments in front of your child or in front of another coworker or colleague, someone your age, be aware that it's an opportunity to suggest to someone, to encourage someone totally indirectly of a measure of your faith, your trust in God. That, hey, yep, man, that is crazy. That's bugged out. Yeah, that just happened, man. Yeah. Yo, man, great. Yo, you hear that, man? They cutting our pay, man. Yeah.
I remember that.
Everybody's listening and watching to see what's going to be your reaction. Are you going to like flip out? Is Greg going to spaz? Or is Chris going to flip out? We're all looking to find some comfort in the eyes of our neighbors, our family, our friends, and saying, yo, what's happening? COVID-19 just hit. Oh my God, it's a pandemic. Hey, let me call up my mama. Let me call up my dad. Let me call up Greg. Yo, Greg, you hear about this in the news, man? Yo, it's a pandemic. Let me hear how the people of God that I know, let me hear how they are responding. Because if they're panicking, dang, man, maybe I should be panicking. If the people who say they trust God, if they're panicking, maybe I should be panicking.
We get those moments, though, we do panic.
Yeah,
we human.
We human.
And to say that we don't, we are lying.
Absolutely.
We get those moments that we panic, but we also get those moments that we get recharged. We let it out, so to speak. Then we go back and think about it. Hold up. that ain't it right there.
Yeah.
Get refocused. Yeah, now, okay, I got to go through this. And it's going to figure itself out. It's going to work itself out. But I'm going to keep on pushing that plow, okay?
Yeah.
I may not be able to pay that bill Monday.
Yeah.
May not be able to pay that bill till Friday.
Yeah.
But I got faith enough to know that it's going to be all right. Even if I got to set up appointments to, make these payments and stuff like that, it's still going to work out because regardless of the point, God is our source that gives us all the available resources.
The infinite.
The infinite.
The infinite source.
And we're going to go, everybody think because you saved and you go to God, you're not going to go through nothing.
Negative.
We probably go through more stuff than the people in the world go through. They don't understand the attacks, the things that we go through daily. This is a daily fight for us.
Yeah. Because
things come at us quickly. It's to throw us off, for we can go back to the world and do worldly things. So we are always on the attack. We always are going through something, but we persevere with maturity, knowing that these storms going to come, but knowing that God is our solution. And he's going to get us out. Yeah? It's a lot of battle cries. A lot of crying, like you said, going in your room and crying at night because you got to get that pain out. But after a while, it gets all right. Because, see, God didn't put us down here to suffer until we die. There's no testimony there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let you suffer, but I'm still going to give you heaven.
Mm-hmm.
There's no testimony of nothing that he has done good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it seems like it's forever. But then it's that seasons of blessings that outweighs all that pain.
Yeah.
And in your seasons of trials, that's when you become that great praiser.
Hey, you heard the man, y'all. Listen, we going to get ready to wrap up. But like I said, as usual, it's free lunch with the Real Free. And here, we want to give y'all something edifying to take away, man. It's free food for your soul. I'm going to let you go first, Greg. What's the punchline you want the people to take away from today, man? Just give me one. Just spoon feed them, Greg. Don't hit them with a whole nother episode, Greg. Just give them something. What's the takeaway in today's message of all we shared? What's something that you don't want nobody to forget from today?
Believe in what you pray for.
Believe in what you pray for. Y'all hear that? Believe in what you pray for. Here's mine. This was probably like the headbanger for me today that came out in this episode was time alone does not equal experience.
Wow, that's great.
Yo, thanks, Greg.
Appreciate
it's your boy, The Real Free. It's free lunch, free food for your soul. Love y'all. Peace.